Good evening, everyone. My name is Akhayla Clarke. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedules to be here today. Today, I will be presenting my project, the Heat Pump Hoedown, convening local and regional contractors to establish a bulk buy heat pump program. I especially want to thank Dakota Dolan and Michelle Stewart and the entirety of Western Resilience Center for giving me this incredible opportunity over the past 12 weeks. Before I begin my presentation, I would like to introduce myself. I've called Steamboat Springs home for nearly a decade, and I'm currently a student at Steamboat Springs High School, Colorado Mountain College, and I am the founder of the SSHS Art Club. My long-term goal is to pursue research in biochemistry and environmental sciences at CU Denver, focusing on sustainable solutions that will meet ecological, social, and economic needs. That is why I was inspired by the work Western Resilience Center has accomplished, and I am grateful that this internship has allowed me the opportunity to contribute directly to the region I care about through this organization. Before I dive into my project here at Western Resilience Center, I want to sincerely acknowledge the people who made this experience possible. I especially want to thank my incredible mentors, Paul Boney and Tad Lane, along with Todd Carr from Route County, Colorado Energy Office, Energy Smart Colorado, and House and Hill. Before I started my project, I was given a unique opportunity. I was given the option to choose between whether I would be a waste intern with Caitlin Farkas or an energy intern with Paul Boney. Even though I was torn between the two for a time, I ultimately chose to become an energy intern. After a meeting with Paul, I was intrigued by the shift out of my comfort zone and eager to start something new. Greenhouse gas inventory and forecasted emissions report found that our county's emissions in 2018 totaled over 600,000 metric tons of carbon dioxide. This encouraged the creation of the Climate Action Plan, which has a goal of reducing Route County's emissions by 74% by 2050. A big goal that can be helped by reducing the emissions of residential and commercial buildings, which take up 54% of our emissions, with sustainable heating and cooling. So we decided that my project would be organizing a community event in May to establish a bulk buy heat pump program and connect contractors across the region to attend. This event would bring together manufacturers, contractors, and community members to share their knowledge and learn more about heat pumps, a sustainable heating and cooling alternative. In addition to this, I was also tasked with creating a survey to gauge contractors' interest in hiring apprentices from Colorado Mountain College's 2027 HVAC apprenticeship program, and inform them about our state rebate program, which will provide eligible Coloradans with high efficiency electrical appliances. Since I've been spending a lot of the past 12 weeks learning more about heat pumps, and I know that there are people here today who are interested in learning more about them themselves, I would like to first give an overview of what heat pumps are. A heat pump is an electric device used for both heating and cooling a building. Unlike a traditional furnace that burns fuel like gas or oil to create heat, a heat pump simply moves existing heat from one place to another. Think of it like a refrigerator. A refrigerator takes heat from inside the appliance and pushes it out into your kitchen, making the inside cold. A heat pump works the same way. It takes heat from a source like the air or the ground and pushes it into your home to warm it up in the winter or pulls it out to cool it down in the summer. Because a heat pump is only moving heat, not creating it, it uses significantly less energy than a traditional heating and cooling system. This makes them highly energy efficient and a good choice for reducing utility bills and carbon emissions. However, these heat pumps falter in extreme cold, making them not suitable for steamboats climate, unlike cold climate heat pumps. Cold climate heat pumps operate the same way as a regular heat pump, but they are specifically engineered to provide heating for homes in near or below freezing temperatures, perfect for steamboat. Now back to my project. Ultimately, my project's goal is to organize an event that would serve to promote more energy efficient heating and cooling in a region that heavily relies on it. For a mountain town like Steamboat Springs that fulfills most of their heating and cooling needs with traditional gas heating, Introducing the community to an energy efficient, sustainable, and cheaper alternative is a big opportunity to lower the community's reliance on natural gas across town and even the region. In order to do that, I would need to garner over 100 attendees to this event, book a venue, and get responses to my survey. A goal that seems simple, but ended up being more complex than I had imagined. In the first few weeks, my goal was virtually the same as what I just described. However, my deadline was December 10th, 2025, something that may have influenced some future mistakes. I first referred to a list created by a previous intern, Andrew Williams, to get me started on my journey. I emailed the contractors in this list with a save the date email and my apprenticeship survey I created using SurveyMonkey, an online platform used to create and conduct surveys, and later on Google Forms with the same purpose. Something I would soon regret since in our next meeting, my mentors let me know that I had jumped the gun and this was not something we were ready for yet. Thankfully, this did not interfere with our objective, but the experience did teach me a valuable lesson in communication, something that I made a point to maintain throughout my internship. The following internship meetings are where I officially got started. I was made familiar with the state and county list of contractors. This list featured mechanical HVAC contractors across Route County and the state. This really helped me get started and was something I wasn't aware existed prior to my internship. In terms of venues, we started with our four main places we wanted to look into: Library Hall, CMC, Steamboat Grand, and House and Hill for 5 p.m. on December 10th. I first went to CMC, who was willing to hold our event, but there are no available dates. Next was Steamboat Grand, but I unfortunately wasn't able to get in contact with them. I was now down to two sites: House and Hills, East Room and Olympian Hall, and Library Hall. Thankfully, two of the three were both available at the right time. Olympian Hall was booked. I first went to see Library Hall. I took measurements and used it to create a diagram with IBIS paint where speakers, booths, and seats would all be located. However, at this point, me and my mentors were concerned about the amount of time we had left to make this happen, so we decided that pushing the event to May 2026 would be the better choice. This opened up the opportunity to look into a more desirable venue for the event, Olympian Hall. I wasn't able to see it myself, but thanks to one of my mentors, Tad, I got pictures and was able to create a layout for that venue as well with Canva. In addition, there was my survey. This survey is what I sent out to contractors the second time around, made with Google Forms instead of SurveyMonkey. So I called House and Hill, and after a few interactions, I was able to reserve our aptly named Heat Pump Hoedown for 5 p.m. in Olympian Hall for May 7th, 2026. Everyone in the community is invited, so feel free to join us to get in touch with contractors and learn more about the impact heat pumps could have in our region. In addition, here are the results of my survey. Even though only a fraction of the contractors I contacted has responded so far, the responses have been mainly positive. The most important questions I asked were, is your company interested in hiring apprentices? Would you be willing to pay apprentices? And are you interested in the Colorado rebate program? In parallel with the work I had been doing with my project, I had the privilege of actively participating in a number of valuable community events and experiences throughout my internship. My introduction to the organization's work began at the EV Ride and Drive. Its purpose was to give the public the opportunity to experience driving an EV by test driving a variety of donated electrical vehicles. I was really reassured by the welcoming environment created by the organizers, and I had the privilege of getting acquainted with a lot of them, including Tad and Abby, for the first time. Although I have volunteered in things similar to this a few times before, I was still slightly nervous. However, it ended up being a lot of fun. I got to speak with many new people, including donors and other test driving booths. I really admired how the event gave people who were considering owning an EV or even curious about them the chance to see how they operate, feel to drive, and learn more about how owning one could save them money on tax rebates that were available at the time. I even got the opportunity to ride in one of these EVs myself with Abby and Connor, a former Western Resilience employee. The second major activity I participated in, and possibly my favorite, was Retree, a highly successful community engagement event for people to engage in reforestation and climate action by planting native trees. I learned a lot about their effect on river temperature and wildlife habitat, not to mention how to properly plant one to ensure that it grows correctly. This event is what really assured me that this internship was for me. The final event I was able to attend was the soiree. My role, along with my fellow interns, Sarah and Olympia, was to greet the many people coming in and offer them a name tag. This task allowed me to get an idea of the people who chose to back this organization and how this organization has made an impact on this community. I enjoyed the catering, was particularly impressed by the live music, and had fun spending a lot of the night learning more about the incredible people I interned with. Chatting with them and getting to know them better made the night that more delightful. In addition to the events in my project, I also got to experience firsthand the work Western Resilience Center has put towards ensuring energy efficiency in Steamboat Springs by accompanying Tad Lane in an energy assessment. An energy assessment's goal is to identify ways for residents to make their homes more energy efficient and comfortable, which leads to reduced utility costs and emissions. This is done by inspecting areas like crawl spaces and attics, conducting a combustion safety test, a blower door test to depressurize the home and identify air leakage. After this, spaces that contain HVAC pipes and/or require sufficient insulation are inspected, like crawl spaces and attics. If these places aren't properly insulated, they could bring in hot or cold air that would interfere with your house's temperature and require you to use more energy on heating and cooling. Then gas burning appliances like your stove, furnace, or fireplace are checked for gas leaks and tested for carbon monoxide and proper combustion. Next, during the blower door test, the house is depressurized, meaning that air inside is pushed out, so it's simple to pinpoint spots in your home where the air is infiltrating. This is usually done by using an infrared camera. In the dark blue or purple spots, you can see where the cool air is coming in. In the end, free direct installs like weather stripping, pipe wrap, LED bulbs, or programmable thermostats are added where necessary. Recommendations are given to the resident on how to fix larger issues and how they can become more efficient long-term by switching to more efficient home appliances or HVAC systems like a heat pump. Okay, all right. This project provided me with a substantial amount of takeaways that will undoubtedly be able to use in the future. For instance, I developed crucial skills in community engagement, learning how to organize events and collaborate effectively with organizations like Colorado Mountain College. I now also have a solid understanding of the role of cold climate heat pumps in our region and where to find practical resources to make any home or future workplace more energy efficient. Furthermore, my early mistake with the contractor survey is a good lesson in the importance of communication and coordination, a skill that would serve me in any professional endeavor. The opportunity to connect scientific practices with practical local impact has profoundly reassured me in my planned career path. I am more committed than ever to pursuing research that not only analyzes environmental issues, but also contributes directly to the solutions in the communities that need them the most. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you again to Nicola Dolan, Paul Boney, Tad Lane, and the entirety of Western Resilience Center for this incredible transformative opportunity. I'm excited to see the results of the heat pump bulb buy event in May 2026, and I look forward to carrying these lessons with me as I move forward in my academic and professional career. Thank you. Questions? Tad?
Great job.
Thank you.
I was wondering what advice you might offer to a future intern who's going to be building on board.
Mm, any advice? I would say that prioritizing or getting work done like first right after a meeting is probably the best way to go about things while it's fresh in your mind. Um, a lot of times I had to come back or email you guys about certain things because I waited to get started on them. So I would say starting like right when it's fresh in your mind is a good practice to maintain. Oh, Abby.
So I'm still learning about all this energy stuff, and I just can't imagine ever knowing as much about it as a high school student as you now know. So with that, can you tell us a little bit about how kind of learning all this stuff has changed your perspective? And are there any messages for young people that we should be sharing who how they're thinking about like how their house is powered on a daily basis?
Yeah, learning about this stuff has really changed my perspective. When I first heard about it, I was a little apprehensive because I thought it would be really complex or just something that like wasn't at my level. But it ended up being really simple with the help of my interns, and it just encouraged me to be confident asking questions and trying to learn as much as I can. So advice I would give to someone my age would be just that, not being scared to ask questions or say that you're lost or yeah. You know,
What's the difference between the cold weather heat pump and a regular, you know?
the cold climate heat pump is specifically engineered to work in like really cold temperatures. A regular heat pump starts to kind of falter, like they work the best in mild temperatures. So a cold climate heat pump, like if you were to get it like for here, it would be probably the best option because it's usually very cold here.
So, I imagine the contractors are not used to getting questionnaires from interns, people who are thinking about new technologies. They're busy and they're sort of maybe stuck in the way they've done things in the past. The ones that did respond to you and were excited about heat pumps, can you think about why was it that they were interested and responded? Were they different than other ones? Because those are the people that we want to continue to work with.
I feel like the ones that responded were mainly really intrigued in the apprentice, like hiring apprentices to gain like help and kind of broaden their like, oh, I'm sorry, broaden their like outreach. I I assume that's why the few that responded were yeah encouraged to respond.
Hey, John, Caitlin.
Thank you.
A question. So, you have the unique, I think, kind of echoing what Abby said, you know a lot about heat pumps now as, you know, a relatively younger person. I mean, I've worked with Paul for over 5 years now, and I'm still struggling to understand all the technology of heat pumps and how these systems work. And I think, you know, taking how you just completed this project with the upcoming heat pump hoedown, what would be your recommendations to make that event or other communications be approachable? You know, for the types of homeowners or people that we want to potentially adopt or buy these heat pump technologies, in addition to the contractors, because I think it's sometimes challenging to have it be both, but I know there would be public, you know, attendees who would be really curious, and how do we make it not too wonky, not to accuse you of being wonky, Paul, but, you know, not to be intimidating, but the people who want to come in and like learn about it. So curious your thoughts there, like big recommendations based on your insights gained.
Maybe really emphasize how it could help them, how it could save them money, and how it could help the environment. You know, our community is very like has really close proximity to nature. So maybe really like emphasize on how getting a heat pump would equate to you helping our community out. Yeah. Yes.
Was there an experience, whether it was like an event or a conversation you had during your internship that made you feel particularly hopeful about energy transition at Seacoast?
Hopeful. Could you elaborate on what you mean by
Like-
hopeful?
Made you have like good optimistic feeling that
Yeah.
we are headed in the right direction. And if it's maybe something that conversation or experience that makes you feel pessimistic, You can share that too.
A conversation, it wasn't really a conversation, but like the process overall, like all the contractors who are willing or able to like offer people heat pumps, the rebate program that was really open to like giving people efficient like technology to reduce stuff like emissions and costs. Um, yeah, just all the I don't want to say infrastructure or like just the people who are involved really encouraged me in that in seeing this as like something that was really like widespread and encouraged. Paul.
Okay, first. So your project started with a pivot, the red pillar, the blue pivot, and a couple of pivots during the project, as circumstances changed. How did, part of this apprenticeship program is to kind of build your skill set going forward. What did that feel like when you had to make those pivots in the 90 days that you had with us? How did you learn from that?
It felt good being able to just be able to move on. Like it didn't set me back or like get in the way or discourage me. It felt good just being able to not being scared to like change from thing to thing and just kind of gave me like internally confidence. Um, and yeah, yeah.
Good. One last question. 2 years from now, you're talking about your first internship. What are you gonna tell folks? They ask you what you did here at the Western Resilience Center or about your experience.
I would say that it was an incredible experience, and that I didn't only get to work on my project, but I got to experience the organization like events and really get to like connect with their like mission and their like goal in this community. And I would encourage other people to do the same, to find organizations in their community that they can make an impact through.
You got to go on that energy assessment outing, right, with Chad, which is really interesting, and a lot of people haven't seen that. And looking at heat loss or talking about that, what was, where did you see that happening in a home, and was it surprising to you?
Yeah, it was surprising when I heard about air leaking into the homes. I kind of expected it to be like places that were like close to outside, but it ended up being like places deep into the home where that had air leakage. And yeah, that really surprised me. Yeah.